Living in the UK the past year and a half has been an amazing experience, but sometimes there are those little things I can't help but miss from back home in the States. Today I'm going to share with you the top things that I miss the most about living in the US. And before I dive in, I want to try and stop some of the negative comments that are bound to be typed up by some of you and say there are many reasons why I chose to leave the US and move here to the UK, and I really do love it. So I'm not bashing the UK with any of these topics. I'm simply just stating some things that I miss, which is completely normal when you leave your home country and move abroad. First, we'll start with American food and snacks. There are so many amazing food products and food chains I miss from back home. Items like ranch dressing, dill pickles, I mean actual dill pickles, not the ones labeled here as dill, but they still taste very sweet. Certain peanut butter goodies, certain chips like Fritos or Chex Mix, and the list just goes on and on. And of course, some unique American fast food chains like Chick-fil-A, In-N-Out, The Hat, which is specific to Southern California, and hands down the best pastrami sandwiches in the world, and especially Mexican food. Any Mexican food. Tacos, chips and salsa, enchiladas, burritos, you name it, I miss it so much. I'm so spoiled being from LA and having top-notch Mexican food my entire life. It's really hard not having it anymore. I made an entire video of all the US foods I miss while living here in the UK, so make sure to check that out if you're curious about other American foods that you can't really get here in the UK. I have attempted to find some of these American foods in UK supermarkets or expat stores, but haven't had much luck. There's an American food store near Holland Park, and they had some things like dill pickles, so I was super excited, but one jar was 15 pounds, which is the equivalent to about 20 US dollars, so there was no way I was paying for that, so I guess I'll just continue to go without. Next, I'll talk about holidays and traditions. Of course, I work a UK job, which means UK holidays off, and surprisingly, there's actually less UK national holidays that we get off per year compared to the US. Two big ones that I miss, of course, are Thanksgiving and the 4th of July, two extremely American holidays, so obviously anywhere in the world there is absolutely no celebration for them. Thanksgiving is a big one because I feel like it's what kicks off the holiday season in America, so it's weird to just not have it go from Halloween to Christmas. It makes you miss your family so much, and again, all of the American comfort foods that you would typically eat on Thanksgiving Day. We also love watching football, I mean American football, so we miss having the Thanksgiving games on all day, but I'll dive more into the sports section in a little bit. I'm not a big cook, so instead of trying to recreate a Thanksgiving dinner just for the two of us and not having it taste like it would back home anyways, we decided to take a holiday and try to forget Thanksgiving altogether. And 4th of July isn't as big of a one in regards to specific foods to miss or making you miss your family more than usual, in my opinion, but it's the most American day of the year, so it's nice to have that sense of American pride that day, wear red, white, and blue, watch fireworks, have a barbecue. On top of all of that, 4th of July is particularly special in our house because it's the day that Nick and I started dating nearly 14 years ago, and we actually got married a few days after the 4th of July as well, so that time of year is very special. Christmas is something I actually love celebrating here. Of course, I wish I could fly my whole family out and have the American Christmas dinner that I'm used to, but I'm from LA, so Christmas is always sunny and warm, so it was really cool last year to experience our first cold Christmas. And if you haven't been to London during Christmas, you absolutely should put it on your bucket list. The Christmas light displays are unbelievable, plus all the cute Christmas shops and markets. It truly just makes you feel like you're in a movie. So that is one holiday that I do love celebrating here. Next, I'll talk about social customs and friendliness, and right away, this is the section I know people are getting ready to type their rude comments because they did it in my UK culture shocks video, but it's the truth. Americans in general are a lot friendlier and love small talk compared to the more reserved British nature and culture. I got a ton of comments saying this is true for the southern part of the UK, like London, but in the north, they love small talk, so do take this with a grain of salt, but I live in London, so that's where my comparison is coming from. And this isn't to say British people are rude by any means. I don't think that at all. I just think Americans are way more apt to open up and be super friendly to strangers compared to people here. And this shows in the customer service as well, which I know is slightly different because we do get tipped in America, so everyone is super nice to try to get tips. Whereas here, there's usually no tips, so they don't really care as much. But typically in the US, your waiter will check on you several times throughout your meal, always refill your drinks without asking. Even even strike up conversations at times and try to get to know you a little bit more. But here you have to actually like wave people down to get things at your table, including the bill, and nothing other than your order will most likely be discussed. Next, I'll talk about the weather and outdoor lifestyle. Obviously, this is more specific to where you're from in the States because there are plenty of states where it's cold, gloomy, rainy, just like it is here in the UK, so it wouldn't feel much different for you. But I'm from sunny, hot California where the weather is pretty amazing year-round, and if it rains, it's a fluke. So moving to a place that's very rainy, very cloudy, it can get depressing, and I've never really experienced being so cold that you don't want to get out of bed in the morning or do anything productive, but I feel that on a daily basis here when fall and winter and part of spring hits. I will say that the late spring and summer is actually better than I thought it would be. Still some cloudy and rainy days, but tons of sunshine, which really helps you heal from those brutal winters. But having weather like this also makes me miss my outdoor activities and my lifestyle, like beach trips, hiking in US national parks, or simply experiencing long, sunny summer days. I'm so used to never checking the weather because it's pretty much guaranteed to be a good day and not really worrying about plans I made a few weeks ago from now to go camping or hiking or any other outdoor activity. But now I am constantly checking the weather, and I can't plan anything outdoor until honestly like the day before or even the day of because the weather changes so much and is super unreliable. Next, I'll talk about driving and transportation, and you might think this point makes me sound like a hypocrite because one of the main reasons I listed in my video about why I moved here and why I love living here is the public transportation and the lack of needing to drive everywhere, and that stands true. I love taking public transportation for my daily commute, and I wouldn't change that for driving or sitting in traffic any day, but I do miss driving on wide American highways, the road trips, and the convenience of parking for weekend activities. Like for example, I've been wanting to go to Stonehenge for a while now, but taking the train there is so inconvenient. It's about 3 hours away from my house with multiple train switches, but driving is only about an hour and 20 minutes. But I don't feel comfortable driving on the really skinny roads here and then also being on the opposite side of the road, plus all the roundabouts. The UK loves roundabouts, and dealing with parking. Also, cars here are a lot smaller. I'm used to driving bigger SUVs and trucks where I feel super safe if I were to get in an accident, but I don't want to be in one of those tiny cars here on the highway and just get in an accident. So those are the things that I miss about driving. The daily stuff is great in and around London. I wouldn't want to drive. I love it the way that it is when I only use public transportation, but I miss having the option to drive and feeling comfortable to drive to go do fun things on the weekend. And lastly, I'll talk about entertainment and sports. In America, sports are life. We have so many of them that I miss watching regularly. NFL, NBA, MLB, and for me personally, I'm a huge college volleyball person. And not only is it difficult to even find apps or channels to watch these games on, but it's nearly impossible to watch anything live because of the time difference, of course. We have to have several apps and subscriptions to watch each sport and make sure not to check our phones in the morning if a game happened overnight our time. So we'll wake up and then we'll watch it, then we'll check our phones, that way nothing gets ruined. Sports are just so ingrained in our American culture, in our daily life. It feels weird that it's not really the same over here. Here in the UK, soccer is everything. So it's interesting to compare it to the US where we have so many different sports that everyone's into, whereas here it's just soccer. Maybe a little bit of rugby too, but if you like sports, that means you like soccer. And to expand on entertainment in general, for the most part, London is great for really big stars. Like I went to Taylor Swift and the Jonas Brothers concert recently because anyone big on tour usually has at least one night in London. But if you like more niche artists or especially country music artists, that's going to be really hard to find in the UK in general. They do have really cool music festivals here that are a lot more affordable compared to big music festivals in the States like Coachella, Lollapalooza, or Austin City Limits. There's one called Glastonbury that's supposedly one of the best experiences. I'm personally too old for music festivals now, but it's definitely something you should try and look into if you're living in the UK and want to attend a good music festival. If you've lived abroad, what do you miss the most from home? Or if you haven't, do any of these things on my list seem like things that you would miss as well? Let me know in the comments, and make sure to subscribe if you want to hear more about my life as an American expat living abroad in the UK. For now, let's take a look at why I moved here in the first place.